Soon, another young bull came out of the bush and thought he could challenge us as well, continuing to walk right at us. You can see his displeasure with that head toss and ear flap. My name is Alan Lacey, and I'm a wildlife filmmaker, cameraman, and producer. Adventure with me as I explore the amazing world of nature and show you what it's like filming wild. My second morning in Africa, and we were up before the sun, meaning coffee was a must. There's just something magical about an African sunrise. And I was still kind of in awe of actually being here. We had to wait for the ferry to cross the Boteti River before entering the national park. But as you can tell here in a moment, we were all pretty excited to be there.
Like you've got the lions in Botswana are what's it called? They're the Mufasa.
Yeah.
And then the lions in the Sabi Sands are Scar.
Yeah.
Then he's like...
And they're the skinny ones.
I don't know, I just don't like it. Just don't like it. I've never liked lions. Ain't that cool?
After a few good laughs, the ferry arrived. And so we drove out to meet it in the water. This was such a peaceful morning. Just the sound of the water gently lapping against the ferry as the ferry operators pulled us across the river was truly magic. I was thinking to myself, how incredible this moment truly was. A dream of mine has always been to travel to Africa and film wildlife. And here I was, sitting in a safari vehicle, crossing a river on my way to do just that.
Taking the high road, finally awaken, we're taking the high road.
After a few minutes of serenity, we had crossed the river and entered the Makgadikgadi Pans National Park in Botswana. It didn't take long before we had our first opportunity to begin filming. A small group of zebra were grazing on the river bottom below, which was on our shot list, so we took advantage of the moment to capture the scene. I am here in Africa working alongside my friend and fellow filmmaker Chris Fisher on a documentary project that he is producing. I am under an NDA, so unfortunately I cannot share very many details about the project itself, but I can share behind the scenes moments like this. Then a trio of male kudu came down to the water for a drink, which was actually really quite spectacular. Their curved horns were amazing and so regal looking. Then something spooked them and they took off running. If you've enjoyed this video so far, go ahead and hit that like button, especially if you think I've earned it. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing, especially if you love wildlife and would like to see what it's like behind the lens of wildlife filmmaking. From there, we headed further into the park. And soon, we came upon a young bull elephant. I was super excited to see this huge pachyderm up so close. He was a rather curious fella too, as he kept approaching the vehicle and getting closer and closer.
lose my mind. Might not make it out this time.
Elephants are highly intelligent and social animals, and this young bull was intrigued and maybe even a little annoyed that we happened to be parked in the general direction he wanted to go.
This mess no more. If the water keeps rising high, I won't make it out alive. In over my head.
This was the first time I had ever been this close to an elephant before, which was really quite exhilarating.
Push around, scared as hell, I might be till I'm dead. In over my head. In over my head. I can't breathe, can't see how I'm ever gonna leave it. This hell that I'm living in. In over my head. In over my head.
On this shoot, I am running the second camera and keeping my shots fairly wide as our director and producer is shooting mostly all of the tight shots.
Chest. Night never brings me no rest. Oh, my throat's too sore to scream. Can't nobody wake me up from this dream.
You'll notice we have similar setups. So with me staying under 300 millimeters and him staying above 300 millimeters, it allows us to cut together our shots more seamlessly in the edit than if we were both shooting the exact same focal lengths and similar framing, which would be too repetitive.
Been locked up, knocked down, pushed around.
This young bull came up within about 25 yards or so of us, seeming to challenge us and push us away. But then he chickened out and decided it wasn't worth it, and off he went on his way.
How I'm ever gonna leave it. This hell that I'm living in.
I was pretty amazed at the whole experience, so even if the shot wasn't all that great, I continued rolling as he walked away, as there's nothing quite like an elephant butt to add to the list of things I filmed in nature. I'm here filming for a documentary series for the All Around project, but I'm under an NDA, so unfortunately I can't share what it's all about. But stay tuned in the near future, because there's more to come.
In over my head. I've been locked up, knocked down, pushed around, scared as hell, I might be.
We then caught up to the rest of the herd, which was closer towards the river.
In over my head.
It was the middle of the day and about 95 degrees out, so you could say it was rather hot, and I could only imagine how thirsty these guys were.
In over my head. In over my. Over my.
You can see that it's dry and dusty, and as they get closer to the river, you can see their excitement begin to increase with the thought of cooling off with a long and cool drink and a proper elephant bath.
Just let it bleed into the fire.
Soon, another young bull came out of the bush and thought he could challenge us as well,
You are the weak,
continuing to walk right at us.
I'm breaking free.
You can see his displeasure with that head toss and ear flap.
I've got the power in me. I've got the power. I've got the power in me.
But he chickened out as well. All show and no follow through, thank goodness. It was amazing to watch them in the river valley below, foraging in the grasses, wading through the water, you know, enjoying life as an elephant.
I've got the power. I've got the power in me. I've got the power.
We drove back down the river, looking for other opportunities to film. And I was truly amazed at the amount of wildlife along the river. It honestly felt like I was living in an episode of Planet Earth.
hear the commotion, and that's okay, 'cause we're in motion. I can feel the sway. There's nothing to fear, my friend. Oh no, it's the natural Colorado.
We then stopped for a late lunch before continuing on with our filming for the afternoon. I'm telling you, there's nothing quite like eating an amazing meal outside in the African bush. Watching all of the wildlife down by the river, it was truly incredible. First day filming here in Africa. It's been super successful. All kinds of wonderful species, great shots. Here with our director producer Chris, putting it all together. Our guide, also producer Matt, and then our driver over here, who's been wonderful at finding all the wonderful species here, knows the place inside and out. And now we're at lunchtime, getting some good food. So, perfect initiation to Africa. Beautiful place.
Vibrating us all, natural ride, vibrating us all. Hear the rocket all day and night. The world is noisy, and that's alright. Every sound is just a beat of the natural rattle. So unwind and don't unravel. We can't help
After the long day of filming, we finally headed back out of the park.
through the clatters inside.
But on our way out, it felt like we were being escorted by the herd itself.
The natural ride.
However, it almost appeared more like they were calling it a day after putting in a bunch of long hours themselves. You know, highly paid actors ensuring we got what we needed for our documentary. Soon, we were back at the ferry, heading back towards camp. However, it was one of the most amazing days I've ever had as a wildlife filmmaker. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up below and consider subscribing by clicking on the bell so that you are notified and don't miss the next upcoming video in this behind-the-scenes series of our time in Africa. And finally, if you'd like to see more exclusive content from this trip and others like it, consider joining our community over on Patreon, where I share even more in-depth content from the field, and where you can join me in the conversation about conservation. In the meantime, stay tuned for the next episode of Filming the Wild.